Let's meet Junie Smith from St Albans. Now, you might have seen Junie in the papers. She's been dubbed the Cougar Queen. Why? Well, she's in her early 50s. She's been on more dates than most, and over the years, she's naturally found herself dating younger men, I gather. Junie says she doesn't hunt them down. It's just that older men she's met over the years often lack the sense of fun she still very much has. Although she does say the tide is starting to turn. Nowadays, many younger men apparently are obsessed with spray tanning, bodybuilding, computer games, beards and tattoos, whilst older men, some of whom have been divorced and once again are looking for fun and adventure, they make much better candidates for an enjoyable date. Well, let's have a chat to Junie. And I'm very interested to hear your reaction. Does Junie's love life sound fun to you? Phone lines are always open on the JVS show if you want to get involved. 03459 455 555. Good morning to you, Junie.
Good morning.
Welcome to the programme. So let's go back to the beginning, if we may. I mean, have you ever been married? Have you ever had a kind of very serious long-term relationship?
Oh, no, I have had serious long-term relationships. I haven't been married, no, because I take marriage very seriously, and I have to be 100% sure. Because, I mean, a lot of people my age have been married and divorced at least once or twice by the time they've reached my age. So although I haven't been married, it's not because I'm against marriage. It's a case of I want it to be the one. I did have somebody in my life who I would have been married to now, but unfortunately in 1991, fate and a car accident took him away from me. So if that hadn't happened, I'm sure that I would have been with him even, right now. So
you suspect he was the one?
Oh, he was definitely my soulmate. We all said we all get a soulmate in life, and he totally was. He was my perfect partner. And at least if I don't meet the one, at least I have experienced just how wonderful that is. So maybe because of that, I won't settle for anything less, unless, I really feel that overwhelming love for someone and I feel it equally given back, then, I wouldn't get married.
Well, it's very interesting, and I would imagine that experience and that terrible tragic loss probably has played quite a big part in your love life, and maybe the fact that you have been on, I mean, I gather my team tell me you've been on hundreds of dates.
Well, this again, I could say would be journalist spin to a certain degree, because what I said about 5 or 6 years ago when I was first interviewed on this subject was, how often do you date? And I said, well, I've had several, long-term relationships, which I consider 3 to 8 years, a relationship. If it's a year, that's quite a young relationship. Because normally, if I do go into a relationship, it's a proper long relationship. So I did say, if I wasn't in a long-term relationship, then I normally had 1 to 2 dates a month. If I was on a dating site or whatever, going on dates, which I don't think is a lot, but they calculated that to be around the 250 mark since I started.
You don't think that's accurate then? You think it's less?
I don't know. It could be more. But what I'm saying is, it's not like it was 250 dates a year.
Okay.
Over a long period, I don't really think that is a lot of dates.
Now, what is it with younger men? Because I gather you have always tended to go for younger guys. Yeah,
it's a case of younger guys have tended to go for me. No, I don't think I'm no supermodel or I'm particularly amazing. I'm pretty well preserved for my age, and when I was younger, I particularly looked a lot younger for my age, pre-menopause. But I don't know. I think it's a lot to do with I'm very young at heart, and I suppose I attract people younger than me because they resonate with my, energy and outgoingness.
Right.
And I'm also very honest, I'm not one of these, you see a lot of stories about cougars or MILFs, and it's all very, how very tragic. They're trying to recapture their youth, and they're all, pumped with fillers and plastic surgery, trying to hang on to their last, part of usefulness. I've never lied about my age to anybody I've dated, and I haven't had any plastic surgery or anything. I'm just me, and people, young guys have seemed to be attracted to that.
So where do you meet these young guys?
Most of the time, it's when I'm out and about, and quite often, funny enough, it's in gay clubs, because I do have a lot of gay friends, and all of a sudden now, a lot of gay guys have straight male friends, tend to go to clubs, whether or not it's because they know that a lot of gay guys have a lot of, as they call them, fag hags or girl pals that go out with them. But a few times I've been out with my gay friend who's in his 30s, and he's got really quite excited because this guy's looking over here, it's my lucky night tonight, and it's actually me that's pulled, which in a gay club is quite funny. Do you ever go out in St Albans and meet young men? I have done before. I have had a few dates in St Albans, but I'll have to be honest, most of my dates are have been from London or surrounding areas. I don't go out as much in St Albans as I do in London, because
Right.
more of my friends live in that area. So I normally, if I'm out and about socialising, it's in London. Although that said, recently I actually joined a dating app which is called Happen, which actually it means that if somebody else has the same app and you cross paths, you come up on each other's phones, and it tells you where you've met them. So they may have passed you in the street, or you may have been in a bar, and that's quite a good app, because before, if I was on the other app, most of my dates would be from somewhere in London or far away, which would mean travelling for a date.
Yes.
Whereas
now you pop into Wilco's and something pops up on your phone.
Yes, or you're in a cafe having a coffee, and then somebody has seen you come pop up and has sort of press a little button to say that they like you, and you see it, and if you like them too, then you kind of press a little thing to say you like them back, and then they can say, I'm at the back of the cafe, would you like to join me for a coffee? So it's like an instant date.
Right.
That's
And have you been on any of those?
A couple, yeah.
Gosh. You live on the edge, don't you? So what's the youngest guy you've dated?
The youngest guy I've ever dated is 18, but I wasn't in my 50s or 40s or anything then. I was at 36, so I was double his age.
36 and you dated an 18-year-old?
Yes, but the thing is, a very sneaky little 18-year-old. He was working at my friend had a yacht moored at a marina, Bray Marina, and he was working there as one of the engineers on the boat. And she had a problem with her yacht, and he was working on it. Now, he was 6'5". He was obviously gone to the gym. He was very muscular, tall, very handsome, very eloquent and very educated. And, we were chatting while he was working on there. And he told me...
Were you flirting?
Of course I was. Well, I kind of flirt with everyone without even realising, I think. I'm a flirty kind of person. But he was definitely flirting back. Anyway, so there was a party at the marina the next day, and he said, could you take me to the marina? Now, he told me that he was 25 because he thought I was 25, because at 36 I looked very young for my age. So I had no reason to doubt he was 25, and I thought 36, 25, 10 years younger, but he was very tall, handsome and eloquent. I thought, why not? So we went and had a date, and we had quite a few dates after that, until somebody at the marina said, you do know he's 18, don't you? And I nearly fell off my high heels. I was quite shocked. I was very shocked. But then I thought to myself, well, we've been having lovely dates so far. We've been getting on fantastically. But
he could have been your son.
He could have been, but then again, at 36, I would have had to have had him at 18 myself, and I was a very good girl at 18. I was still a virgin then, so he definitely wasn't my son.
I gather you've been on some very disastrous dates. Tell us one of the worst dates you've been on.
Well, I told you, we have spoke before, and I told you about Alistair. I don't know if that's really a very long date to tell people about. I don't know how much time we have on here.
I don't know anything about Alistair.
Oh, you don't? Oh, I spoke to somebody about Alistair. Well, I'll try and make it briefer than the story is. But Alistair, he was through one of those Lonely Hearts things in the paper before we had all this internet. And I was in my 30s. I didn't have a mobile phone or anything. And I set up this profile on the Lonely Hearts. And Alistair replied. Now, Alistair left a little phone message. He said he was he retired young in his 30s. And that he was very interested in going out for a date. He was a successful businessman. That's why he retired in his 30s. Blah blah blah. And I think he said he was about 4 years younger than me in this. And so we arranged to go for a date in a local bar. And he said, I'll make sure I'm there. I'll get my chauffeur to take me to make sure I'm there before you arrive. And blah 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 blah.
So you're thinking, this guy sounds like a right catch.
Well, I'm not a gold digger, but I just thought he was quite well spoken. But something about him had the element of a posh Janet Street Porter. I was imagining he may have some serious.
He sounded like. He sounded like a posh Janet Street Porter.
Yeah, and I was thinking, we may be talking Ken Dodd teeth here. I'm not sure. So, of course, there's no picture in the paper, so I only had, his answer to go with. And he said, I asked him what he looked like, and he said, my sister says I'm very handsome. And I thought, okay, well, she might be slightly biased, but never mind. So I thought, well, that's not really helping me much. So I asked him what he'd be wearing, so at least I'd recognise him when he turned up. And he said he'd be wearing a navy blazer, a white shirt and a grey flannel trousers. And I thought, okay, that's quite smart.
Classic,
no
yeah.
Classic. Yeah, quite classic. I was imagining maybe Roger Moore turning up in his heyday. And so I said, we'd meet in a local bar near to me, where I've got a friend who works behind the bar and a couple of friends who worked in the restaurant part. So I knew that, if I went for a date, they would see him. If anything untoward happening to me, at least they would be able to describe whoever I was with. So I arrived at my date and I told this at the bar, the date was not already there, like he said he would. He said his chauffeur would have got him there early to make sure. He wasn't. He was a good half an hour to 45 minutes late. And I'd already told my friend by this time that I was waiting for this young guy in his 30s, young retired, successful guy in his 30s to turn up and what he'd be wearing. So anyway, I told him I'd all be dressed in pink, head to toe in pink, so he couldn't miss me. And I was sat talking to my friend, had a drink at the bar, and I could suddenly see her face full, like somebody who's in a horror movie. That's, the beast has suddenly come through the door. And then literally her face, and I just thought, oh my God, he's arrived. And all of a sudden I heard this voice, yes, we must leave go. And I was like, oh, yes. And I turned round. And I don't know if you know what Dame Edna Everidge's alter ego, so Les Patterson
Les
looks
Patterson, like. Australia's cultural attaché.
Yes.
You look like Les Patterson.
Yeah. While trying to tell me he was younger than me in his 30s, I think I was about 36, and he was saying he was 32 and retired. He looked like Sir Les Patterson. I mean, like he wasn't retired early; he was retirement age. I was right about his teeth. It was like somebody had opened his mouth and just thrown them in, and they just landed wherever. Every time he spoke to me, he covered me in a shower of spit. He was wearing a white shirt. He was wearing a navy jacket.
He got that bit right, yeah.
That bit was right, but he'd obviously had an egg sandwich before he'd come out, because he had egg down his tie, egg down his jacket, and there was also a bit of egg on his shoe as well. So I'm guessing he was standing up eating a fried egg sandwich before he left home.
How do you know How do you know there was egg on his shoe?
Because I just kind of looked, and I looked to the floor, and I just saw his shoe, and there was this egg on it. So I just thought, well, I wasn't far off with the tea. So he saw I had a drink, so he goes, oh, I see you when you have a drink, I'll just get myself one then. He didn't actually offer if I wanted another top-up or anything in my drink. And then we were talking, and as we were talking, I was just getting sprayed. I was literally, it was like an atomizer was on me constantly, 24. And the first thing he did was go into his inside pocket and pull out a load of pictures of these two dogs, which apparently his dogs, on this 4-poster bed. Now, I don't know whether this 4-poster bed was his bed or it was at a hotel that he stayed in with his dogs, and this was meant to impress me that this was his stately home. I have no idea. But then he said, right, we're going to go for dinner. Shall we go into town, as in meaning further into London, because I lived in London at the time. I was living in Muswell Hill, so this date was in Muswell Hill. Or shall we go to a restaurant nearby? So I thought, I really don't want to travel far from home with this guy. But, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, but why not just leave at that point? Why carry on going through with it? Most
people, this is it. Most people would leave. But there's a slightly twisted part of me that just goes to how bad can this get? So I kind of went with it just to find out how bad it could go. So I said, oh, yeah, why not? Let's go somewhere, local. So he says, I know just the place. So he took me to a Gordon Ramsay's fish and chip shop. where all the millionaires go. And apparently he obviously goes there regular because the guy knew him, recognised immediately. So he said, oh, hi, Alistair. He hadn't actually booked a table there, funny enough.
No.
But it was quite romantic because there was a his and hers sort of invisibility scooters outside. So it was almost like I could see our future ahead of us with these two immobility scooters just parked outside. So we walked inside, and I was looking at the menu thinking, okay, well, there's salmon and this, that, and the other. Oh, no, I'll just have a nice bit of salmon, whatever. But no, Alistair was going to order for the both of us. So we sat down on a nice plastic white table with a plastic chair. And everybody was staring at me like I was his escort he'd hired for the night, because there's me in this little cocktail dress and everything else, sitting in a fish and chip shop with this guy with egg down his clothes who was spitting on me. And they were kind of looking at him with pity and looking at me with hatred, as if, you evil bitch, you're taking the money of this poor guy who has to hire a date. And he ordered a starter to share and a fish dish to share. Yeah. So he ordered the king prawns to start and a cod and chips to share. And he also ordered a side salad. Now, when the prawns arrived, luckily there were 4 of them, because we didn't have to split one prawn in half. We could have 2 each. He went, oh, the prawns have come on a bed of lettuce, and I don't know why we ordered the salad. So I went, I don't know, Alistair, maybe just felt like pushing the boat out. So we had this meal, and all the time he was trying to play footsie under the table, and up my leg, and trying to sort of grab my hand, but it was on the table. So I kept on moving my hand back on the table, meanwhile trying to shout, kind of protect my meal from the spit that he was showering over everywhere. And then he goes, oh, shall we round the meal off with a brandy? So I said, okay then. So he said, shall we have the brandy at my place, or shall we have it here?
Don't tell me you went back to his place.
No, that was too much. No, I went, oh no, we'll have it here. So he explained that he had been late. Oh, I forgot. He said he was late because his Rolls Royce had broken down and his chauffeur couldn't drive him here. That's why he was late. He had to get a taxi. Yeah, okay.
But the thing is, because we're coming up to the news, so we've got to kind of conclude this. But from this story, I mean, it just sounds disastrous. There must come points in your life where you think, gosh, here I am, I'm 53 and I'm on a date with, Sir Les Patterson. I just want to meet the love of my life and settle down. Is that how you feel deep down?
Yeah, yes and no, because obviously everybody would love to feel. I'd love to feel the way about somebody, the way I felt about the man in my life that I lost. I would love to have somebody that I felt that way about. But I am an independent person. I've lived on my own since I was 16. So I'm quite used to my own company. So actually being with somebody would be quite a huge change for me, because it's something I've never really experienced. But yes, of course, everybody would love to have that, but it's not like I'm sitting by the phone and pining every day and desperately searching for love, because I have a busy life. I have quite a good social life, so it's not the end of the world.
It was all worth it for the Alister date, and I want to thank you very much indeed for your time. It's been really nice speaking to you, Junie, and keep in touch and let us know if you do meet the man of your dreams and do settle down.
I will. I'm sure there's one out there for me somewhere.
Yes, St Albans full of them. Thank you very much indeed, Junie. If you want to comment, 03459 455 555, and I just hope Alistair is not listening.
BBC Three Counties Radio.